every day of life, you want things that don't go your way. You got to move on and you got to do what you can with what you got.
John, thank you so much for the time to chat about Omaha. I really do appreciate this.
Yeah, certainly. Thanks for having me.
I'm speaking with John Magaro, star of Omaha, which is I I I don't have the words to describe how powerful this film is, and I mean that genuinely. It's the this is the way I was feeling as I was watching it. The loudest quiet film I think I've seen in a very long time, because there's so much emotion in these quiet scenes that bring you in.
Mm.
It does so much. What challenged you? What brought you into the film? What excited you about this character?
The script, first of all, Robert Mashion wrote a great script. So pretty much after reading that, I wanted to be a part of it. And I think the reason it resonated with me was, first of all, I'm a dad. And second, it wasn't really like something that I'd played before. So it really struck me and was exciting for me. And pretty much right away wanted to be a part of it because of those things.
Well, it is a fascinating relationship here. And as you step into this role, um, how did you prepare yourself for a role like this? Given the fact that you have your own kids.
I mean, I think that's a big part of it. You just, think about your own children. You think about this situation. And if you were forced into those circumstances, I thought about a lot of people I grew up with. I thought about my dad, these guys who would rather lose everything than ask for help. That was very present when I was growing up. The idea of, being strong and silent and not bothering other people with your problems. Uh, so those things were an in for me. But really also about the care and the love of the children, which I think, you understand as a parent. And I think this guy has for his kids, he's just in a situation where, it's falling apart.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I loved these scenes with you and the kids just in the car, and everybody sort of has their own thing going on. You're the youngest is in his own world. You've got Ella that's sort of caught in the middle. She senses something's up, she doesn't. And then there's you that knows everything and can't say anything. Um, but there's this powerful scene where you challenge her on responsibility. And I would love to hear for
Mm.
you what that means. Do you think this character was acting responsibly, in the midst of their circumstances?
No, I don't. No, no, I don't. I don't. But oftentimes parents say things that they don't do. That's the classic of parents, don't eat junk food. Yeah, I'm going to eat junk food, in the most basic form. Uh, and that situation, that scene is an interesting scene because we had a lot of discussions about it. There were versions of it where it was a lot more uh, disciplinary and harsh. Um, there was versions where it didn't get there at all, and then we sort of found this kind of thing which felt more natural and right, where he she does something, and because he's scared, he sort of lashes out at her, and I think it shows two things. It shows that he does care for her, and he is protective of her as a dad, which is what dads would, any good dad would do. I think we also wanted to show that he is a good dad. He's not like a bad parent. He's just, not doing the right things. And speaking to what yeah, he isn't being responsible, but he also doesn't know any better. And that's the, paradox of being a parent, is that you're put in the position of responsibility when oftentimes you do things that aren't responsible. But in saying that to her, much like me as a parent or my parents to me, you're hoping by imparting that knowledge that the kid will maybe be better than you were. Um, I think that's a huge part of it. You still want to teach these lessons to your kid, be responsible. In a lot of ways, he knows she's going to take on a parental role in the near future because he won't be there. But so he's offering this that maybe she can be better than he has been.
I wanted to ask you too, like much of this film, if not 90% of it, is you with these two kids. And there's a lot of heavy
Right.
material here. These are young children, and there's a lot of heavy
Yeah.
material. I was wondering about what does like working with them on a story that carries so much weight.
I try not to think about that too much. And luckily, Cole got two kids who were really capable and brilliant, both Wyatt and Molly. Wyatt was 6 at the time, Molly was 10 at the time. So they're young. They're very similar to the kids that they are on screen. Wyatt's a ball of energy, very innocent, wants to play. Molly, more inquisitive, slightly older, on the verge of being a teen, a young woman. Um, so she's starting to see the world differently. Um, but at the end of the day, they're kids, and we wanted we wanted it to be a good experience for them. So I felt protective of them. Cole felt protective. A lot of people on the set were parents themselves. Uh, so when the camera wasn't rolling, although it's a heavy material, we tried to keep it light and playful and fun and make it enjoyable for them. And because they're such great little actors, they were capable of turning it on when the camera was rolling. They didn't need to live in this heavy place all the time, and I didn't. So we tried to keep it as fun as we could.
I wondered if there was a lot of improv because there's so many
Yeah.
car games and whatnot. I don't know if that's the script or if that's just them trying to keep the kids engaged.
And there's a lot of improv. We've said, Cole and I have said, we were like co-directing. We sort of found the framework. We had Robert's script, and we found the framework of the scene, and then I'd sort of talk to the kids and push them and ask them questions, and we would just leave the camera rolling. That's one good thing about not shooting on film. I mean, you always want to shoot on film, but the digital camera, you can just let it roll and roll and roll, and you know let the editor worry about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it plays out so well. I mean, I have
Mhm.
two kids too, and the amount of would you rather games that you
Oh yeah.
that's just real. That's just
Yeah, I mean
real.
that's what we would do. That would happen in the car when we weren't rolling, and then we said, "Let's just roll on some of this." And the good thing, because it is a road trip story, basically, uh, it's the same car, and a lot of the road looks the same. And we were driving down these roads, so we could just drive to one place to another and let the camera roll and find out what we would get.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you about your character. I forget his name. I think is it Marcus? No.
Well, his
Uh,
dad. It's really
his
dad. You
dad.
don't find out his name
Sorry.
until the very end. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you can
Yeah.
call him dad.
Right. So with the dad, I would love to. There's one of the lines he says to Charlie. He says, I want a lot of things, Charlie, but it doesn't always work out the way you planned. And I was wondering for you as you're sitting with this character, what does that mean to you, and how do you deal with it when things don't go as planned? Because he does seem like a good guy.
Well, I mean, that's what it means to be an adult, you know? That's every day. It's every day of life, you want things that don't go your way. You got to move on, and you got to do what you can with what you got. Uh, that's a hard lesson for kids to learn, but it's a lesson that they need to learn. It's a lesson a lot of adults still need to learn, but that's life. Uh, for him as a dad, yeah, you know what I mean. I think it's pretty clear in the movie what it means. He's lost everything, and he obviously would want his wife to be there, but she's gone, and he would want to be able to pay for his mortgage, but that's not happening. And you want to be able to provide for these kids, and it's not happening. So, like everything, that's life throws what it throws at you, and you got to deal with it in whatever way you know how. And unfortunately, he he doesn't know, a really good way, even a decent way to deal with it. He's still a good dad, but he's making a lot of bad decisions.
Maybe this is unfair to ask, but I was wondering if John, if you had the chance to sit down with this dad, what you would want
No.
to say to him.
Oh, what I want to say with
Want to
oh
say to
geez.
him.
I mean, I wish I could have gotten a hold of him before he went on the road trip. I'd be like,
Mhm.
because I believe that there are people in this guy's life who would offer help to him before he had to go down that road. I would I would beg him to think before he set off on that journey and ask for help before it's too late.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
that he it's funny because he's a character that, without saying too much, he's driven by fear and hurt, but he's so genuine at the same time. Like
Yeah.
it's it's a wild ride to go through.
That's why it's a fun character. That's why it's a fun, rich character to play because it has those complexities to it.
Yeah, yeah. This film is so powerful, and I mean that genuinely. Um, what do you hope audiences take away from Omaha?
Oh, I think it's been interesting talking to parents and people who don't have kids, how they approach it. A lot of parents obviously see it from dad's point of view. People who don't, even if they're older, even people who are in their 30s who don't have kids can see it through Molly's point of view. So I think people will take away all sorts of different perspectives from it. But I always hope that films open up discussion and questions. And uh, I mean, I think it's also good to just have a cry at a film. That doesn't happen all the time. So there's something cathartic about this, and this certainly pushes you to an emotional, very emotional place. So sometimes that's all you need in a film. But those questions that people will have after it, I leave that up to them, and I hope they're not afraid to ask them.
I will say, without giving context, that the I don't know the last time the words "I'm sorry, Dad" have hit so deeply
Oh
as they
yeah,
do. And
yeah.
there's that when I heard those words, it was like such a gut punch.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
yeah,
heavy.
it's heavy.
She's great. Yeah, she's great.
Honestly, they are two phenomenal performers. Like
Yeah,
as child actors, for child actors, they're just incredible. But you are wonderful as well in this film, and
thank you.
I really appreciate the chance to chat with you about it. Thank you so much for your time,
Appreciate it.
John. Thank
No
you.
problem. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks. Have a
Take
great
care.
day.
You too.
Thanks. Thanks. Bye bye.